Hello everyone, this is Crafter Aurora, and I'm here today with just my thoughts about the new Armadillo snapshot, as well as some cool ideas I had for what could come of the 1.21 update. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So I think the new Armadillo mob looks pretty cool, and I just want to point out a funny little logical thing about the Armadillo that I'm not angry about, and I don't want Mojang to change, but I just think is kind of funny, which is that when an Armadillo is brushed, it drops part of its shell, which doesn't make any sense. In earlier versions, it would just drop part of its shell when it dies. That's how it would work. I like Minecraft being woke, but it's still pretty funny just to laugh about, especially when you consider that the chicken, to get a feather from a chicken, you need to kill the chicken. In real life, you could brush a chicken and get some feathers that just fall off, which is perfectly reasonable. But in real life, if you brush an armadillo, you're not going to get part of its shell. So just a funny little logical fallacy Mojang has made there. You use those scoots from the armadillo to craft some wolf armor, which I think is a pretty good idea. I was a little disappointed when the armadillo won, but Mojang seems to be doing a decent enough job with it. They've given us all the promised features already, which admittedly wasn't much. I think wolf armor should have armor trims so you can kit your dog out for real. Imagine like putting some copper armor trims or some gold to go with the shell with like silence, and it would just look really nice if we could put armor trims in our dogs. And if also everyone in the server had dogs, the armor trims could be used to tell the different players' dogs apart. Boom, easy solution. And wolf armor should also be stronger, because people aren't going to go out of their way to get it. It's not going to change the meta of people not getting wolves. People are only going to get wolves most of the time if the wolf armor gives the wolf a much bigger buff. Like maybe it's equivalent to full Prot 4 netherite instead of diamond horse armor. That sounds a bit extreme, but honestly I think it's necessary. And another idea I had was armadillo armor for the players, which would be as good as diamond, but it would add a new ability called the ground pound ability, which would be activated while pressing shift while in the air with any type of armadillo armor, and it can be equipped as either pants, boots, or chest plate, but not helmet, because that's a turtle helmet, so you can make scoot armor basically, and you can upgrade it to netherite. So it's basically just a netherite alternative if you want the ground pound ability, which I'll explain now. Basically, if you ground pound by sneaking while in the air, with the elytra, if you jump while in the air, you use your elytra. With the ground pound ability, if you press shift while in the air, you ground pound, which means you fall down to the ground at like maybe double the speed, but you take 50% of the fall damage, which means half as much basically, and any entity that you would land on takes all the fall damage you would have taken otherwise. So you could basically go from world height, and assuming you have some like Prot 4 Feather Falling 4, maybe a totem, Turtle Master Potion or something, you could ground pound onto an enemy player and knock them out in one shot. That'd be a very fun mechanic for SMPs. And if you got this far in the video, I'd like to remind you to subscribe before we get into our next idea, which is tool trims, which are like armor trims, but instead of being for armor, they would be for tools and weapons, which would be pickaxe, axe, bow, hoe, shovel, sword, you name it. You could trim them with all the same materials you would be able to trim armor with, but there would be two variants of tool trims instead of armor trims like 13 or whatever it is, and there's two variants. Would be vibrant, which could be found in mine shafts for bright and standing out one that's just colorful, and aged, that can be found in dungeon chests, that is darker and more subtle. And it's useful for just distinguishing if you have silk touch or fortune tools, and that's going to be about it for me today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.